This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for June 1st, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Beautiful weekend, but the tale of two different days. It was actually chilly on Saturday, but a beautiful day yesterday. So hopefully you got out and enjoyed it. But let's rewind the weekend like we do every Monday. Brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. They got you covered for your Philly sports apparel needs, and use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, so not the best weekend for the Phils. Lost 4-2 on Friday night, if you stayed up in time to watch it. 4 solo homers given up by Zach Wheeler. Kyle Schwarber did hit a home run. And then a good come-from-behind win on Saturday. Edmundo Sosa was the hero with a 2-run shot in the 8th. And then Johan Duran got the save. I did see a tweet from John Clark that said the Phillies have the most one-run games in all of major leagues with 12. I think part of that is due to the pitching staff being so well, but also the fact that they can't hit. We are entering one of those slumps. It's been about 2 weeks now since the Phillies have been consistent with their hitting. But due to their pitching, they've been pretty well. Luzardo was good on Saturday. And then yesterday was just an absolute mess. Chris Painter, the bullpen, both struggled. 5 hits. 5 hits. Not going to get it done with 5 hits and then striking out 10 times versus Yamamoto. Justin Crawford had a ridiculous catch, which was good to see. But overall, I mean, it was a winning road trip. I guess you could take that out of it, but the offense certainly is struggling. I just feel that this is what you're going to get with this team. They're going to be, hopefully this is not a long one, but they're going to go through spells like this, and we're in the midst of one. I saw it coming a couple weeks ago, and I was just like, I guess the positive thing is the fact that they did have a winning road trip. 4-2 out of the 6 games, but I guess what it did was at least show you what this team needs, and they need a bat, specifically right-handed, and one that's going to be consistent and not get sucked into the slumpiness or whatever you want to call it that this team does. They're off tonight, return home tomorrow for 6-game homestand with the Padres and White Sox. I guess the rematch with the Padres. White Sox have been playing well. Christopher Sanchez looks to extend that scoreless inning streak on Wednesday. Aaron Nola makes his return from the maternity list tomorrow. Sixers have a new president of basketball operations, and it is Mike Gansey, former Cavaliers general manager. Worked his way up through their organization. I'm not sure. I really don't know how to feel about this. In part for a couple ways. One, this guy doesn't have really a ton of experience because he worked under the Cavaliers president for of basketball operations. Could he be an aggressive kind of guy? That's what people are speculating. That would be good because that's what this team needs to kind of figure out and compete while still dealing with the Paul George and Joel Embiid contracts. I think, honestly, in this one, I think we need to wait and see. I at least want to see how the introductory press conference goes so we can see who is going to be working under him, sort of what the hierarchy is. Bob Myers kind of laid that out already, though, that ultimately it's more of a collaboration and he is going to be involved somewhat. So does that mean that Gansey is going to be his, I don't want to say puppet, but like, okay, whatever he wants. So many questions, and I don't know we're going to get the answers to. We might just have to wait and see, but it's not like I'm doing backflips over it, but I also don't hate it, I guess. It's just wait and see. And it is June 1st. Buckle up. 4 p.m. today is when the deadline is for, and I don't know why June 1st is the day, but this is the day. It's A.J. Brown trade day. We'll see what happens. Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated is reporting that a framework for a trade is in place. I also saw John Clark during the same tweet about the Phillies one-run games I happened to see. Does look like it's a 2028 first-round pick. And look, if you get a first-round pick for AJ, that's a win. I know everybody's like, oh, we got to wait 2 years. Okay, but you gave up a first-round pick for A.J. Brown. You went to 2 Super Bowls, winning 1, and now you're getting that first-round pick back. I think that's a pretty damn good return on investment for Howie and the Eagles. So, I mean, I'll take that. I still would rather not see him go, but I get with all of the circumstances and everything, it is what it is. But that's a pretty doggone good return on investment, if you ask me. And with the 2028 draft, everybody's talking of how great this 2027 draft is. With NIL, some of these guys might not come out and they'll be there in 2028. I know it's way far. I'm not going to sit here and even pretend to know that what the 2028 draft looks like, but I know everybody's saying how great the 2027 is. All you need is a handful of guys who are happy with their NIL deals to stay, and then all of a sudden things change. But today is D-Day, so to speak. I don't know if you're going to get an announcement today. I don't expect it to be a long wait, especially if there's a framework in place. The only thing I guess that could really screw this up would be is if one of the teams, and I don't see it being the Eagles, decides to back out, or which would benefit the Eagles if another third mystery team swooped in and upped the ante a little bit, which again, I'll take that. What happened this weekend in Philly sports history? Let's start with May 30th and go all the way back to 1935. Philly swept a doubleheader against the Boston Braves at the Baker Bowl, 11-6 and 9-3. Babe Ruth started Game 1 in left field, grounded out in his first at-bat, was pulled from the game as it turned out to be his last major league at-bat right in Philadelphia. And then fast forward all the way to 1978, Phillies beat the Pirates 6-1 at the Vet. Mike Schmidt showing off the wheels. 3 stolen bases. Mike, not necessarily known for stolen bases, but 3 of them in a game in 1978. And in 1982, the Sixers bounced back to win Game 2, 110-94, to even the NBA Finals at 1 game apiece. Dr. J with 24, Mo Cheeks 19 and 8 assists. 3 years later, the Flyers got swept out of the Stanley Cup Finals. After winning the first game, they lose 4 straight. So I guess they didn't get swept out, but you know what I mean. 8-3, losing that series 4-1. 1993, Phillies hit home runs, 6 home runs, 2 by Darren Doughton. Tommy Green hit 1. He pitched a complete game that day. Mariano Duncan, Dave Hollins, and Kim Batiste en route to an 18-1 win versus the Rockies out in Colorado. And in 2009, more home runs. Ryan Howard hit 2, including a grand slam in the third, or grand slam to the third deck of Citizens Bank Park. I remember watching this game. He absolutely blasted it. It was his 8th career grand slam, breaking Mike Schmidt's Phillies career grand slam record. And then May 31st, 1983, 4-5-4. Sixers sweep the Lakers 115-108 to win their first NBA championship since 1967. Moses was named MVP. Predicted a 4-4-4. Instead, they got a 4-5-4, and that is what they put on their rings. And every time 4-5-4 comes up, I mention this because it's a great song. Look up Pieces of a Dream. It's like the quintessential Philly Sound of Philadelphia song from like the early to mid 80s. So go check it out. But Sixers win the championship May 31st, 1983. 4 years later, Flyers lose Game 7, 3-1 to the Oilers, but Ron Hextall was named the Conn Smythe Trophy winner. Jamie Moyer in 2009 wins his 250th game as the Phillies beat the Nationals 4-2. 1 year later, Flyers lose Game 2 of the Stanley Cup final. Not a good weekend in Flyers Stanley Cup history, but they lose 2-1 to the Blackhawks to go down 0-2. Don't worry, there is more on this series coming up in the coming weeks. And then 2014, Phillies lose 5-4 in 14 innings. Ryan Howard with a 3-run homer, giving him 1,000 RBI for his career. It was one of 3 games of that 4-game series against the Mets that would go to extra innings. So that's Rewind the Weekend, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. And then last Friday's trivia question, Carlos Ruiz has caught 4 no-hitters, 2 by Roy Halladay, including the perfect game, and then a no-hitter in the playoffs. There was a combined no-hitter, and then Cole Hamels in his last start as a Philly. That ties the Major League record shared with Jason Varitek for most no-hitters caught by a catcher. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel Jimbo_Mont and continue to spread the word. It's tournament kicks off today, so that's the best way to vote is follow me on my social media and spread the word. Have your friends vote. Let's have some fun with this. Don't forget there is a new Brotherly Birds breakdown. Obviously, we talk A.J. Brown, recap the draft, look at the schedule. That is available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And there will be a new The Philly Hall this week. Steve and I are going to sit down and record tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. I'll be sure to give you all the details. Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com. Use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com. Promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. All right, June 1st. We're going to go back first to 1893. And the Phillies beat the Chicago Colts 16-1. Ed Delahunty with 2 inside the park home runs as the Phillies win it 16-1. And the Chicago Colts are one of the many names of the Chicago Cubs. So the Colts became the Cubs. Then, fast forward to 1939. 2 weeks after the A's played the first night game at Shibe Park, first night game in Philadelphia, the Phillies played their first one against the Pirates. And again, the Phillies have just been all over this. They were played in the first night game in Major League Baseball history. But the Phillies' first night game in Major League, or in their history, happened on this day. They lose to the Pirates 5-2. 8,000 fans were in attendance at Shibe Park to see that happen. Just one of those random things, completely changing the game of baseball forever. Fast forward to 1969. Phillies lose to the Dodgers 12-4. Dick Allen, though, goes 2 for 3 with a 2-run homer in the third. It was his 5th consecutive game with a home run. First time that has happened in Phillies history. And, of course, we've talked a lot over the past few weeks. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Odubel Herrera, Rhys Hoskins, all these guys, Mike Schmidt, they've all done it. But Dick Allen was the first, and he did it on this day in 1969. 10 years later, Bernie Parent announced his retirement from the NHL due to an eye injury. He played in 486 games with the Flyers, 50 shutouts, which is a team record, 231 wins, which is number 2. But most importantly, he's a 2-time Vezina Trophy winner, 2-time Conn Smythe winner, and of course, a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. The late Bernie Parent retired on this day in 1979. And that leads us directly into today's trivia question. Who is number 2 and number 3 on the Flyers all-time shutout list? And if you want some bonus, how many do each of them have? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531, or go to the Discord channel, which is in the description. But let's have some fun on the Back to the Future voice and text line. You can also vote in the tournament there. I'll get to the matchup here in a minute. Fast forward to 2001, the Sixers looked to close out the Bucks in Milwaukee, but Ray Allen had other ideas as he dropped 41, including 9 3-pointers to lead the Bucks to a 110-100 win, forcing Game 7 at the FU Center. Second straight Game 7 the Sixers would be facing, this time in the Eastern Conference Final, to see who would play the Lakers. Allen Iverson, though, did do his part, scoring 46, but it was overshadowed by Ray Allen's 9 3-pointers. And then 4 years later, Phillies and Giants were tied at 6 in the bottom of the 8th. Chase Utley hits a pinch hit grand slam, picking up his teammate Ryan Matson, who blew the save. It was one of 7 grand slams for Chase in his career, but none as dramatic as a pinch hit, game-winning grand slam for Chase. All right, it is time. It is time to kick off this tournament for the greatest Philadelphia high school basketball figure. Just a couple quick reminders. First, this is a basketball figure. Not talking about who had the best career, who had the most points, who was the best player. This is figures. So we're looking at people who played in Philly and the surrounding areas, Collier County, South Jersey, Delaware, the high school impact of this team, the mythology surrounding them, the dominance they had in high school, influence on the culture. That's a key one there. Career success after high school, we are going to weight that in a little bit, and that's going to come into play for today's matchup. The historical significance of the basketball identity, this one also is going to come into play today. So that's why it's a figure, not necessarily player. 48 players, top 16 get by, so the top 4 seeds get it. And we're kicking it off right now. Our first matchup, well, of course, the tournament is brought to you by Beach Caddy. Go to beachcaddy.app if you're in Ocean City, Sea Isle, Stone Harbor, Wildwood, Avalon. They got you covered. They take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. Best beach carts on the Jersey Shore. Nice big wheels. You're not going to be dropping shovels and buckets and coolers and all that other good stuff. But this is the key part, and this is what I love. They have bellhop service. They'll move you in and out, and you don't have to stress about carrying your bags, getting all sweaty while you wait for the air conditioner to turn on. If you're lucky enough to stay in a house with an air conditioner, you can go out and enjoy your vacation as Beach Caddy does all the hard work for you. They take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. Go to beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order for your beach move in, move out, and beach cart rentals. But Beach Caddy is the proud sponsor of the greatest Philly high school basketball figure of all time. So today's matchup comes out of the Overbrook region, where Wilt Chamberlain is the number 1 seed. We have the number 5 seed, Aaron McKee, taking on the 12 seed, Rondé Hollis Jefferson. And again, this is where you're going to see the nuances of this, because some people might say, wait a minute, Rondé Hollis Jefferson had a much better high school career than Aaron McKee. And you'd be correct. But let's start with McKee. Played at Simon Gratz. Obviously, it helped that he played for a year or so with Rasheed Wallace, but he was all Scholastic, all Southeast Pennsylvania. Helped Gratz to their first public league title in 1990. The first, or I shouldn't say first title in 51 years in 1990. But this is where Aaron gets bonus points and moved up the rankings. He went to Temple, stayed local. He was all A10, part of 2 Elite 8 teams. And then he went to the NBA. And that included a stop in Philadelphia, where he won 6th Man of the Year. He was a member of that 2000-2001 team. But then he stayed in Philly even longer. Was an assistant for the Sixers for a little bit, an assistant with Fran Dunphy at Temple, and then he took over the head spot at Temple. Didn't necessarily get the success that we all would have hoped for as Temple fans, but that's Aaron McKee. He's our 5 seed out of the Overbrook region. And now to Rondé Hollis Jefferson, the 12th seed out of the Overbrook. Chester High, two-time state champion, one-time runner-up, so very successful there. The Clippers had a 91-5 record while he was on the team, including their first ever undefeated season. If you know anything about high school hoops, you know Chester is ultimately and usually a powerhouse. So being part of the first ever undefeated season in Chester history is a big deal. He was the PIAA 4A Player of the Year. He becomes the first player from Delaware County to be Delco Player of the Year 2 times consecutively. Was a McDonald's All-American. From there, went to Arizona, where he was all Pac-12. He was a first-round pick in the NBA, had a 6-year NBA career, and has been playing in Europe ever since. Not quite the mythology and the impact on Philly basketball as Aaron McKie. That's why the committee seated them the way it is. But now it's your turn. Who is the better high school basketball figure? Aaron McKie or Rondé Hollis Jefferson? Get your votes in. Back to the Future voice and text line. If you have my personal number, you can text me, email me, send smoke signals, Discord channel, comment on wherever you're watching this. But let's kick off this tournament. What a good matchup to kick off the tournament. This would be like the 12-15 game on Thursday. But this is a good one. Aaron McKie, Rondé Hollis Jefferson. Who is the better high school basketball figure as outlined in the criteria for this tournament? Be a tough one. I think Rondé could pull off the upset, but I'm a Temple guy. You know where I'm going with this. But what do you think? Who wins out of Rondé Hollis Jefferson, Aaron McKie as the greatest high school basketball figure in Philadelphia basketball history? On this day in 2005, Phillies beat the Giants 10-6. Chase Utley with a pinch hit grand slam in the 8th. Sixers lose Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Final to the Bucks, setting up an epic Game 7 at the FU Center. Bernie Perrant hung up his skates due to an eye injury on this day in 1979. Dick Allen hits a home run in his 5th consecutive game in 1969. And then we have the Phillies playing their first home night game in 1939. And then all the way back, hopping in the Wayback Machine here, 1893, Ed Delahunty hits 2 inside the park home runs in a 16-1 win over the Chicago Colts. We'll be back tomorrow with some Tuesday positivity. Hopefully, maybe, we'll be talking a little A.J. Brown and breaking down that trade. Something tells me this is going to drag on a lot longer, though. And we'll have another big matchup in our greatest high school basketball. I don't know why I slowed down there. Our greatest high school basketball figure in Philadelphia hoops history. But today, the matchup is Aaron McKie versus Rondé Hollis Jefferson. Who do you got? Get your vote in. Vote early. Vote often. Do what you got to do. And, of course, tomorrow is Tuesday. That means it's time for a little Tuesday motivation/positivity. So stay tuned for that as well. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for June 1st, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Monday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.